Hello there, thanks a lot for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and this of course is the godfather of soul from 1965. Now why is it so important to show you a 1965 James Brown concert poster when I've shown you so many others in my video blogs, right? From the span of about 1958 to 68, and so many of them in the 60s were so similar to this, you know, jumbo size, day glow, globe posters and everything. Well, according to Joel Whitburn's Billboard magazine chart books, James Brown is the #1, not surprising here, overall R&B singles champion with 118 singles charted. And, you know, to my reasoning, he will always be known for 3 especially. And of course, that would be Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, I Got You, I Feel Good, and It's a Man's World. Well, the first 2 I just named came out in 1965 and were his 2 biggest R&B singles ever out of that 118. And the third one, Man's World, followed shortly thereafter the next spring. So, you know, as I hold this poster, just to think that Papa's Got a Brand New Bag was released this exact month, and I Got You was right afterwards, and Man's World was just 6 months later, you know, you just have a master at the absolute screaming peak of his career in 1965, and that's just one of the reasons I do love this concert poster. I just love good timing, as you know, with a concert poster. So this big beautiful cardboard window card was made by Globe Poster in Baltimore, no surprise there, in bright, eye-popping, you'd have to say, orange and yellow colors. And on top of it all, this one is in beautiful condition. It either wasn't used or was just leaned up somewhere indoors to be used to sell tickets. And it was definitely a tour blank. As you know from watching my blogs, the top portion there in white would change out from show to show. So let's go ahead and address this one if we shall. You've got the City Center Arena, Seattle, Washington, Saturday night, June 19th, show and dance from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Very, very straightforward and perfunctory, let's face it. The only thing I would think is missing there, of course, is ticket prices and information where to buy them. Some promoters, you know, they just didn't want to clutter up their venue information. They just wanted to keep things real straight and simple. Or sometimes when the posters were printed, they didn't know all of that information yet, such as exactly what they would be charging. And then the permanent portion of the poster begins, as you well know there in the color portion. And the new James Brown show, it says in that big headline there, Mr. Dynamite. Let me get in just a little bit closer for you. You can see the Mr. Dynamite there, and in white letters, the underlined fabulous James Brown. Then you've got 3 song titles in this red day glow area. Above the word James, you have Mercy Baby. Well, that was his most recent 45, but only went on the pop charts to number 92. And then upper right, above Brown, you have Guts and Soul. What is up with that? Well, that's an embarrassing typo by Globe is what it is. I mean, his current album was called Grits and Soul. And so when I see something like that, I often just think to myself, telephone instructions, and somebody didn't say it clearly and the other end took it down wrong, whoever's fault it was. Okay, and then under Brown, you've got Out of Sight, which was a top 25 pop hit the previous year. Then you've got that great picture right there, dead center of James, flashing that big ring. In fact, this poster doesn't have nearly as many photographs, I get my hand off one there, that the Brown posters would have going forward. Only the man himself and the all-important Bobby Byrd. So, under James there, left to right, you do have Elsie Mae with TV Mama. Now, that was not a song title, that was actually her nickname for this lady of ample proportions who sang background for James. And on the other side, you've got the famous Flames in that black box. No need explaining them on a James Brown concert poster. Then below them, you have the most famous flame of all. Of course, I'm talking about Bobby Byrd, actually credited with discovering James Brown in the mid-1950s, and he gets a nice full-body picture here. His 2 song titles, though, are pretty random there for Bobby Byrd. I'm Lonely was a B-side from 1964. I Found Out was an A-side from 1963, and neither one charted, so maybe they were concert favorites of his. Then, the other names in the poster, you've got Al Briscoe Clark, James Brown's saxophonist, and the song Soul Food was actually done by James himself. Baby Lloyd, a member of the famous Flames, and James Crawford, part of the James Brown Review. It's funny, his single was called I Don't Care, I Don't Care, I Don't Care, and I guess Globe didn't care to run it 3 times, so they just put I Don't Care. And then that fluorescent stripe at the bottom, as you can see, James Brown's big 18-piece band. Wow. So, yes, this indeed was a tour blank, I hope so, with a great design like this. And I've actually got a picture of this from the very next night. Okay, so right here we have Saturday night, June 19th in Seattle. And here we have Sunday night, June 20th in Portland. And of course, everything below the venue box is identical. But when these tour blanks were stretched out for several months, things did not remain identical, naturally. Song titles and lower-billed musicians were interchangeable. For example, this tour blank was used the previous fall in late 1964. Here it is from Annapolis, Maryland in '64. A lot more yellow in it, notice. There's no white whatsoever except the venue box. And down below, Baby Lloyd is gone, and James Crawford has a much bigger presence on the poster. And then if we jump ahead 13 months to the fall of 1965, the white color is back on the poster. Papa's Got a Brand New Bag is now on there, even though Papa's misspelled. The Guts and Soul Error does remain, Bobby Byrd has just 1 song title now, and it's different from the other 2. And there's 2 new acts along the bottom. So there's a lot of moving parts with these great James Brown concert posters, no doubt about it. But if you want one from arguably his best year ever, you just can't do better than 1965. That was fun. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you again for something soon. Bye-bye.